Very welcome to today's video. Today we'll discuss about the story of textiles. So there is an article in the Indian Express which talks about how India can actually do well in the textile sector. India के textile sector के अपने virtues हैं, and currently India has a deep rooted tradition of textile and apparel sector. And when you look at it, around 4.5 million people यानी 45 crore people जो है वो textile sector में employed है, and they contribute 2.3% of the GDP. That means more than 2% of the GDP and global trade. But when we look at that global trade, it is low at 4.2%. Mere 70 out of 897, लगभग $900 billion में only 37 or 38 billion dollar is coming from the India. That means we are contributing very less, just 4%, and in the GDP still it is 2%. So India's share in global trade is even lower at 3%, $15.7 billion out of 2529 billion. So the point I want to make here is that India, if has to do well, India has huge advantage in the textile sector because of the cheap labor, because of availability of the historical basis of doing well in the textile sector. But when we try to compare India, we have seen that a lot of the neighbors also, China, Bangladesh, Vietnam, इन्होंने बहुत अच्छा किया है. And if they've done well, we need to ask that what we supposed to do. So Indian Express के articles में इस पे detailed discussion है, and there is a case study also. But let's try to understand what are the problems of the textile sector and look at it. The biggest problem in India is that our textile sector companies are smaller, so they can't compete with the big players. Second, there are challenges like raw material shortages hai. You have increasing cost of raw material because many of the raw material have to be imported. Then labor shortage. Now labor is surplus, but skilled labor is a shortage. Now that is a challenge. So labor एक तरह का dichotomy है that one end we have huge labor and other end the labor is short. The third is contemporary issues of textile manufacturing issues कि अगर हम देखें तो environmental issues there because it is pollution generating. Infrastructure is a bottleneck even today. Though we do have done very well in the infrastructure sector, पिछले कुछ years में और decades में India has done extremely well. But when you talk about the entire supply chain has to be developed, entire infrastructure from end to end has to be developed and it has to be integrated. The logistics sector है that has huge advantage if India is able to do well here, and India का logistics sector अभी improve हो रहा है. We still have a long way to go. So it is about road, rail, the integration of the seamlessness that has to be there. So if we set a target, so as per the textile policy of India, जो target है वो $40 billion है in the apparel exports by 2030. But if we see the growth rate of the past few decades, we might reach just 21 billion. So एक pipe dream है कि कैसे होगा कैसे नहीं होगा. But remember, we have to think out of box, and that is where here we have a very important case study. Now you want to go understand the case study. The case study is a Sarla story. So let's understand the case study. So most powerful example is Shahi Export. So Shahi Export एक इंडिया में कंपनी है founded by Sarla Ahuja in 1974. Began as a stitching unit, एक छोटा stitching unit से start हुआ with just 15 women providing 200 pieces a day. But today it is India's largest apparel exporter, operating 50 factories, and the processing mills are across 8 states and employing more than 1 lakh workers. So this company, the Shahi Export, is employing 1 lakh people. 70% of them are women. Now that is also there. So women empowerment. With $1 billion in annual revenue, Shahi Export is well known for Sarla's garment miracle. तो हमें ऐसे miracle story create करने होंगे. What sets Shahi Exports apart is just not the scale, but how it got there. The growth जो है Shahi Exports की वो organically हुई है over 50 years, step by step. You learn, you do, you grow. With the focus on professionalizing operations, investing in the vertical integration, with 80% of the fabric produced in-house, यानी integrated approach है, and building an enterprise that treats profits and its people as complementary. So it is a people-centric approach also there, emphasizing women employment and environmental sustainability. So at one end you are employing women, at one end you are creating a model which is scalable, at third level you are creating a model where professionalism is there, you are investing in the vertical integration, आप growth में focus कर रहे हो, investing in organic manner. It is a living proof that India's firm can scale up and succeed, but it was an organic evaluation over 50 years, यानी 50 साल लगे, and we have to revolutionize this sector, create 10 more Shahi enterprise in the next 10 years, and we need to think of out of box. तो अगर हमें ऐसा करना है, India has to think out of box, then only things will happen. So these are the things that an aspirant have to look into. When you are writing UPSC the mains paper, तो इसमें हम discuss करेंगे how it can be used. Now, what is the problem of India? There are multiple problems. The first is lack of scale, means small units. Lack of scale means small units. That is the first challenge. The second is too many, too small. 80% of India's apparel are micro, small and medium enterprise. So MSME sector hai. They are small, they can't compete with bigger player. China and Vietnam have built large scale export oriented factories backed by integrated production system. Similar to what Sarla, Miracle or Sai Exports has done. So this is one area where you have to invest. The second is infrastructure bottleneck. Infrastructure. The fourth is skilling of the labor. Then developing global. You can start with domestic supply chain. Now, when you look at the Sarla story, they have 80% is in-house production. So, आप दूसरे पे dependent नहीं हो. Your input cost has come down. Your operation cost has come down. Your revenue, the margins have increased. So, you have to work on that scale model, and तभी आप उनको compete कर पाएंगे. The price advantage will have only when your input cost is shorter. And also because India is a country where हमारे ऊपर import tariffs भी लगते हैं. Next can be that you can have FTAs, free trade agreements. आप इन points को note down भी कर सकते हैं. Free trade agreements with nations. Now, for example, if I talk about China and Vietnam, they are part of the free trade agreement. Vietnam is a part of ASEAN group. Similarly, so they have easier access to the market. So when we have a free trade agreement with nations, for example, right now we are negotiating with EU, USA, UK से अभी sign हुआ है. So these are the advantages India might have. So what are the benefits of scale? Scale also drives down unit production cost, shortens delivery timelines and generates mass formal employment. A worker can be trained to operate in a sewing machine in just 60 days. So India में क्या है जो skilled labor है आप उसको 2 to 3 months में skilling देके you can employ him or her and thereby you can create the benefits. So such when you're writing for the mains examination, they will discuss about these challenges. Also, we have to invest in the technology. Remember, okay, technology, infrastructure, manpower management, manpower training, investment in infrastructure, increasing the scale of it, and then we have to integrate with government schemes. So we have a lot of government schemes to promote MSME sector. For example, production linked incentive scheme. We have Make in India scheme. Okay, then you have government has identified them. There are textile sector specific scheme. Textile promotion schemes are there. So you have to put these government schemes, these data, and you can tell how the journey of these organization can do well. So this is the PYQ mains question. Faster economic growth requires increased share of the manufacturing sector. Hardly 14 to 15% हमारा manufacturing sector है. Particularly of MSME, they employ a huge number of people. Comment on the present policies of the government in this regard. So this is where you have to invest. Government has to invest in policies, and policies have to be implemented. So ease of doing business, production linked incentive scheme, investment in SEZs. So we have textile driven or manufacturing driven SEZ. We have production linked incentive scheme. We have Make in India scheme. Okay, we have trade promotion schemes are there. Okay, the specific scheme related to textile sector is also there. So when you look at it, MSME, so you need to have a data of MSME, you need to understand the current scenario, and that is how things are there. So I'll be making a series of video on the PYQs in the coming days, and that will help you to solve the. So what exactly government has supposed to do? So government has to provide incentive to MSME in the form of labor laws, priority lender, the credit access is easy, a public procurement means government will procure it, a credit guarantee, GST composition scheme. Okay, so these are the incentives which government has provided to the MSME sector. What should happen? Well, land, labor, capital has to be optimized. We have to produce better, optimization, create jobs, foster entrepreneurship. But we have smaller organizations, smaller units, low productivity, low employment creation, and these are challenge. And hence we are not able to compete. Also, these sectors जो है वो बढ़ नहीं पा रहे हैं. So overall, we have to invest in the sector properly, and believe me, it will happen. So thank you very much. You can jot down the points, follow the video, subscribe to the channel, and thank you for watching the video. So regularly, PYQ mains related questions will be taken. Take care. God bless you.